Hello class 11th. In the yesterday's video you have seen how the excretory system evolved from simple to complex organism, from the unicellular to the multicellular organism. Now in today's video we will see how the excretory system works in human beings. Lungs, liver, skin you have studied in the previous video. Today we will study about kidneys, the most important filtering unit for the nitrogenous waste in not only human beings but in all eukaryotic organisms. Now let's watch the video. Urine formation involves three main processes, namely glomerular filtration, reabsorption and secretion. And the first step is carried out and followed by the transfer of the urine formation into the urinary bladder. This urinary bladder holds the urine for certain time period. Then it is being passed to the urethra, through which it moves out from the body. There are two sphincter muscles working for that, external and internal sphincter muscles. The function of the sphincter muscles is opening and closing of the urethra after the fulfilling of the urinary bladder. Urine formation by the nephrons is ultimately carried to the urinary bladder. The urine formation is always supported by the glomerular filtration, in which the filtration of blood is carried out by the glomerulus. On the average, 1100 to 1200 ml of blood is filtered by the kidneys per minute, which constitute roughly 1/5 of the blood pumped out by which each ventricle of the heart in a minute. The glomerular capillary blood pressure causes filtration of blood through three layers: the endothelium of glomerular blood vessels, the epithelium of Bowman's capsule, and a basement membrane between these two layers. The epithelial cells of Bowman's capsules, called podocytes, are arranged in an intricate manner so as to leave some minute spaces called filtration slits or slit spores. Blood is filtered so finely through these membranes that almost all the constituents of the plasma except the protein pass onto the lumen of the Bowman's capsule. Therefore, it is considered as a process of ultrafiltration. The amount of filtrate formed by the kidney per minute is called glomerular filtration rate, or the GFR. GFR in a healthy individual approximately 125 ml per minute, that is 180 liters per day, although the formation of the urine is only 1.8 liter per day. The kidneys have built-in mechanism for the regulation of glomerular filtration rate. One such efficient mechanism is carried out by the juxtaglomerular apparatus, JGA, which is a spatial sensitive region formed to cellular modification in the distal convoluted tubule and the efferent arteriole at the location of their contact. A fall in GFR can activate the JGR cells to release renin, which can stimulate the glomerular blood flow and thereby the GFR back to the normal. A comparison of the volume of the filtrate formed per day 180 liters with that of the urine released approximately 1.8 liters suggests that nearby 99% of the filtrate has to be reabsorbed by the renal tubules. The JGA plays a complex regulatory role. A fall in glomerular blood flow, glomerular blood pressure, GFR can activate the JG cells to release renin, which converts angiotensinogen in blood to angiotensinogen 1 and further to angiotensin 2. Proximal convoluted tubule is lined by simple cuboidal brush border epitheliums which increases the surface area for reabsorption. Nearly all the essential nutrients and 70 to 80% of electrolytes such as sodium chloride and water are reabsorbed by this segment. PCT also helps to maintain the pH and ionic balance of the body fluids by selective secretion of hydrogen ions, ammonia and potassium ions into the filtrate and by absorption of HCO3 from it. Loop of Henle. Reabsorption is minimum in its ascending limb. However, this region plays a significant role in the maintenance of high osmolarity of medullary interstitial fluid. The descending limb of loop of Henle is permeable to water but almost impermeable to electrolytes. The distal convoluted tubule, conditional reabsorption of sodium and water takes place, while the ascending limb is impermeable to water but allows transport of electrolytes actively or passively in loop of Henle. Therefore, as the concentrated filtrate passes upward, it gets diluted due to the passage of electrolytes to the medullary fluid. This proximal convoluted tubule is most important for absorption of HCO3, sodium chloride, water, nutrients, potassium. At the same time, reabsorption of hydrogen ions and a little bit of NH2 so that osmoregularity can be maintained. While the loop of Henle is responsible for maximum absorption of the water through its descending limb and sodium chloride through its thick segments of the ascending limb. A little bit amount of urea is secreted back to the tubules for the maintenance of the osmoregularity. Although the thick segment of ascending limb is completely impermeable for the reabsorption of water. The concentrate filtrate passes upward, it gets diluted due to the passage of electrolytes to the medullary fluid. The distal convoluted tubule, conditional reabsorption of sodium and water takes place in this segment. It is also capable of reabsorption of HCO3 and selective secretion of hydrogen and potassium ions and ammonia to maintain the pH and sodium potassium balance in the body. The collecting duct, long ducts extend from the cortex of the kidney to the inner parts of the medulla. Large amount of water could be reabsorbed from this region to produce a concentrated urine. This segment allows passage of small amounts of urea into the medullary interstitium to keep up the osmolarity. It also plays a role in the maintenance of pH and ionic balance by selective secretion of potassium and hydrogen ions. Mammals have the ability to produce a concentrated urine. The Henle's loop and vasa recta play a significant role in this. The flow of filtrate in the two limbs of Henle's loop is in opposite direction and thus forms a counter current. The flow of blood through the two limbs of vasa recta is also in a counter current pattern. The proximity between the Henle's loop and vasa recta as well as the counter current in them help in maintaining and increasing osmolarity towards the inner medullary interstitium, that is from 300 mole MOS mole per liter in the cortex to about 1200 osmolarity in the inner medulla. This gradient is mainly caused by sodium chloride and urea. Sodium chloride is transported by the ascending limb of Henle's loop, which is exchanged with the descending limb of vasa recta. NaCl is returned to the interstitium by the ascending portion of vasa recta. Similarly, small amounts of urea enter the thin segment of the ascending limb of Henle's loop, which is transported back to the interstitium by the collecting tubule. The above described transport of substances facilitated by the spatial arrangement of Henle's loop and vasa recta is called the counter current mechanism. This mechanism helps to maintain a concentration gradient in the medullary interstitiums. Presence of such interstitial gradients help in an easy passage of water from the collecting tubule, thereby concentrating the filtrate, that is urine. Human kidneys can produce urine nearly 4 times concentrated than the initial filtrate formed. The functioning of the kidney is efficiently monitored and regulated by the hormonal feedback mechanism involving the hypothalamus, JGA, and to a certain extent the heart. Osmoreceptors in the body are activated by change in blood volume, body fluid volume, and ionic concentration. An excessive loss of fluid from the body can activate these receptors, which stimulate the hypothalamus to release antidiuretic hormones, ADH, or vasopressin from the neurohypophysis. ADH facilitates water reabsorption from later part of the tubules, thereby preventing diuresis. An increase in body fluid volume can switch off the osmoreceptors and suppresses the ADH release to complete the feedback. ADH can also affect the kidney function by its constrictory effect on blood vessels. This causes an increase in blood pressure. An increase in blood pressure can increase the glomerular blood flow and thereby the GFR. The JGA plays a complex regulatory role. A fall in glomerular filtrate or blood pressure or GFR or glomerular blood flow can activate the JG cells to release renin, which converts angiotensinogen in blood to angiotensin 1 and further to 2. Angiotensin 2 being a powerful vasoconstrictor increases the glomerular blood pressure and thereby GFR. Angiotensin 2 also activates the adrenal cortex to release aldosterone. Aldosterone causes reabsorption of sodium ion and water from the distal part of the tubule. This also leads to an increase in blood pressure and GFR. This complex mechanism is generally known as renin-angiotensin mechanism. An increase in blood flow to the atria of the heart can cause the release of atrial natriuretic factor ANF. ANF can cause the release of atrial natriuretic factor, causes vasodilation, dilation of blood vessels, and thereby decreases the blood vessel pressure. ANF mechanism therefore act as a check on the renin angiotensin mechanism. So, the heart is also somehow responsible for the regulation of kidney function, or rather urine formation. Two terms: vasoconstrictions, constriction of the blood vessels; vasodilation, dilation of the blood vessels. Urine formed by the nephron is ultimately carried to the urinary bladder, where it is stored till a voluntary signal is given by the central nervous system. This signal is initiated by the stretching of the urinary bladder. As it gets filled with urine, it responds the stretch receptors on the walls of the bladder and sends signals to the central nervous system. The CNS passes on motor messages to initiate the contraction of smooth muscles of the bladder and simultaneously relaxation of the urethral sphincter, causing the release of the urine. The process of release of urine is called micturition, and the neural mechanism causing it is called micturational reflex. Different disorders also takes place due to the wrong formation. The urine formed is a light yellow colored watery fluid which is slightly acidic and has a characteristic odor. On an average, 25 to 30 gram of urea is excreted out per day. Various conditions can affect the characteristics of urine. Analysis of the urine helps in clinical diagnosis of many metabolic disorders as well as malfunctioning of the kidney. For example, presence of glucose, glycosuria and ketone bodies, ketonuria, in urine are indicative of diabetes mellitus. Malfunctioning of the kidney can lead to accumulation of urea in blood, a condition called uremia, which is highly harmful and may lead to kidney failure. In such patient, urea can be removed by a process called hemodialysis. During the process of hemodialysis, the blood drained from a convenient artery is pumped into a dialysis unit called artificial kidney. Blood drained from a convenient kidney is pumped into a dialysis unit after adding an anticoagulant like heparin. The unit contains a coiled cellophane tube surrounded by a fluid having the same composition as that of plasma except the nitrogenous waste. The porous cellophane membrane of the tube allows the passage of molecules based on concentration gradient. As nitrogenous wastes are absent in the dialysis fluid, these substances freely move out, thereby cleaning the blood. The cleared blood is pumped back to the body through a vein after adding antiheparin to it. This method is a boon for thousands of uremic patients all over the world. Kidney transplantation is the ultimate method in the correction of acute renal failures. A functioning kidney is used in transplantation from a donor, preferably a close relative, to minimize its chances of rejection by the immune system of the host. Modern clinical procedures have increased the success rate of such complicated techniques. Generally, if the donor is from the same blood group and the genetic characteristics will be better for this purpose. Renal calculi are the stone or insoluble mass of crystalline salts, oxalates, etc. formed within the kidney. These kidney stones, sometimes if you are taking excess amount of the water, can move throughout the ureter and finally moves to the urinary bladder. But if they increases in size because of our lifestyles and other reasons, may cause problems in the body or results into renal disorders. Glomerulonephritis is the inflammation of glomeruli of kidney. This inflammation causes a condition of vasoconstriction.